Amy Reed pressed her face against the transport window and watched the green planet grow larger. Verdania looked like a giant emerald spinning in space. She had been 12 years old for 3 weeks now, and she had spent all those weeks frozen in a sleep pod. Now she was awake and heading toward her new home. Bruno snuffled against her leg. The honey badger was her best friend and had been since she was 7. Her parents said Bruno was special because most people could not keep honey badgers as pets. But Bruno was not really a pet. He was family. The transport landed with a soft thud. Amy grabbed her bag and followed the other colonists down the ramp. The air on Verdania smelled different. It was sweet and thick like breathing soup. Her parents were already outside, setting up their laboratory equipment. They were scientists who studied alien animals and plants. "Amy, help us with these boxes," her mother called. Amy ran over with Bruno trotting behind her. He looked funny when he ran, like a small furry tank on short legs. The human colony was not very big yet. There were only 30 buildings made of gray metal. They formed a circle around a central plaza. Beyond the buildings, Amy could see tall purple trees that swayed even though there was no wind. This planet was strange and wonderful. That evening, Amy sat with her parents in their new quarters. The room was small but comfortable. Her father explained that humans were not alone on Verdania. Another species lived here first. They were called the Talion. "What do they look like?" Amy asked. She fed Bruno some dried meat from her pocket. He crunched it loudly. "They are tall, maybe 8 feet, her father said. They have scales like lizards, but they walk on 2 legs like us. They are very strong and very proud," her mother added. "We must be respectful. They agreed to let us build our colony here, but they are not sure about us yet. They think humans are weak." Amy looked at Bruno. He was lying on his back with his paws in the air, making small snoring sounds. He did not look dangerous at all. She smiled. The next morning, Amy explored the colony. She walked past the medical building and the food storage units. At the far edge of the settlement, she found a fence. Beyond it was the forest with those strange purple trees. A sign on the fence said, "Neutral zone, stay close." Bruno squeezed under the fence and sniffed around. Amy followed him but stayed within sight of the colony. The ground was soft and covered in blue moss. It felt like walking on a spongy carpet. Strange birds made clicking sounds above her head. Suddenly, Bruno froze. His body went stiff and his small eyes focused on something ahead. Amy looked up and gasped. 3 figures stood at the edge of the trees. They were definitely not human. The Talion were even taller than her father had said. Their scales were dark green and shimmered in the sunlight. They had long arms and sharp claws on their fingers. Their faces were somewhat flat with large yellow eyes. They wore simple clothes made of some kind of leather. One of them, the tallest, pointed at Amy and said something in a hissing language. The other 2 laughed. It did not sound friendly. Amy felt her heart beat faster. She reached down and touched Bruno's head. He rumbled softly, a warning sound she knew well. The 3 young Talion walked closer. They moved with grace like dancers or hunters. When they were 10 feet away, they stopped. The tall one spoke again, this time in rough English. "You are human, child. You are very small." Amy stood up straighter. "I am 12 years old. My name is Amy." The 3 aliens looked at each other and made that laughing hiss again. The second one, who had a scar across his snout, pointed at Bruno. "What is that tiny creature? Your guard animal?" "This is Bruno. He is my friend." The third alien, who was slightly smaller than the others and had brighter scales, leaned forward. "It looks weak, like you. All humans look weak and soft." Amy felt anger bubble in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. Her parents had taught her to always stay calm with aliens. "We may look different, but we are not weak," the tall one snorted. "We are Talion. We hunt the great beasts of this world. We are warriors." "What are humans? You have no scales, no claws, no strength. You are prey animals," Bruno growled. It was a low sound that came from deep in his throat. The 3 Talion looked down at him with amusement. "Even your animal knows it should fear us," the scarred one said. Amy picked up Bruno and held him close. He was tense in her arms, every muscle ready. "We should go back," she said quietly. "Yes, run back to your metal boxes, soft human," the tall one said. "This world belongs to the strong." Amy turned and walked back toward the fence. She could hear the 3 aliens laughing behind her. Bruno twisted in her arms, trying to look back at them, his teeth showing in a silent snarl. That night, Amy told her parents what happened. Her father sighed and her mother looked worried. "Those were probably young Talion," her father said. "Like teenagers. They are testing us, seeing if we are a threat. They said we were weak, Amy said quietly. Her mother hugged her. Different does not mean weak. Remember that. Humans survived on Earth, and Earth was not an easy planet. We are stronger than we look. Amy went to bed thinking about those words. Bruno curled up next to her, warm and solid. She ran her hand through his coarse fur. Maybe the Talion were right. Maybe humans did look weak compared to them. But Amy had a feeling they did not understand everything about Earth creatures. Not yet, anyway. 3 days passed before Amy saw the Talion again. The colony leaders had announced something called a cultural exchange program. Human children and young Talion would meet in a special building to learn about each other. Amy's mother said it was important for peace between the two species. The Learning Center was the newest building in the colony. It sat right on the border between human and Talion territory. Half of it was built in human style with smooth walls and bright lights. The other half was built in Talion style with rough stone and dim lighting. Amy thought it looked like two different buildings stuck together. She walked into the human side with Bruno at her heels. The room had chairs and tables and big screens on the walls. 5 other human children were already there, talking nervously. They all stared at Bruno. Most people stared at Bruno when they first saw him. A woman named Dr. Fisher was the teacher. She smiled at everyone and explained the rules. Be respectful. Be curious. Be patient. Remember, we are all learning today. The door on the Talion side opened. 6 young Talion walked in. They had to duck their heads to fit through the doorway. Amy recognized 3 of them immediately. The tall one, the scarred one, and the one with bright scales. Her stomach tightened. The Talion moved to one side of the room. The humans stayed on the other side. Everyone stared at everyone else. Dr. Fisher clapped her hands. Let us start with introductions. Humans first. Please say your name and one interesting thing about yourself. Amy went last. My name is Amy Reed. I brought my friend Bruno. He is a honey badger from Earth. Bruno sat next to her chair, looking at the Talion with his small dark eyes. The tall Talion made that hissing laugh sound again. We meet again, soft human. You brought your tiny friend. How sweet. Dr. Fisher frowned. Please introduce yourself properly. The tall Talion stood up. He was even bigger than Amy remembered. I am Dren, son of Commander Toth. I have killed 3 razor beasts in the hunting trials. The scarred one stood next. I am Kos, son of Warrior Mend. I can climb the highest trees and I am the fastest runner in my group. The one with bright scales stood last. I am Lyra, daughter of Healer Wen. I have memorized all the battle songs of our ancestors. Amy noticed that all the Talion introduced themselves with their achievements. They wanted everyone to know how strong and skilled they were. Dr. Fisher tried to start a discussion about different cultures, but it went badly from the start. Dren kept interrupting. He would point at the human children and make comments. Why are your teeth so small? How do you eat meat? Why is your skin so soft? Does it tear easily? Why do you need all these machines? Are you too weak to survive without them? Kos joined in. On our world, the weak die quickly. Only the strong survive. How did humans survive on their world? Amy felt her face get hot. She raised her hand. Earth was very dangerous. We had predators much bigger than us. We survived by being smart and working together. Lyra tilted her head. Smart is not the same as strong. A smart prey animal is still prey. Bruno growled. It was louder this time. The Talion noticed. Dren leaned forward, his yellow eyes fixed on the honey badger. Your animal makes noise. Is it trying to threaten us? How amusing. Amy put her hand on Bruno's head. He does not like it when people are rude to me. Dren stood up and walked closer. The other Talion followed him. They surrounded Amy's desk. Bruno stood up too, his body stiff and his fur bristling. He looked bigger somehow. Such a small creature, Dren said. He reached out his clawed hand toward Bruno. Do not touch him, Amy said quickly. Why? Will he bite me? Will his tiny teeth hurt my scales? Dren laughed. Dr. Fisher stepped forward. Please return to your seats. This is not appropriate behavior. But Dren ignored her. He moved his hand closer to Bruno. The honey badger's growl became a snarl. His lips pulled back, showing surprisingly large teeth for such a small animal. Kos laughed. Look how angry it is. Like a baby trying to roar, Amy stood up. Bruno is not a pet. He is not tame. He is a honey badger, and on Earth even lions avoid them. Lyra made a dismissive sound. Lions? What are lions? More weak Earth creatures? Lions are big cats. They weigh 400 pounds and have claws as long as your fingers. They hunt in groups, and they leave honey badgers alone because honey badgers do not give up. Ever. Dren pulled his hand back but kept smiling. You expect us to believe that this small furry thing scares your mighty lions? Humans lie to make themselves seem more important, the other Talion hissed with laughter. The human children looked uncomfortable. One of them, a boy named Paul, spoke up. She is not lying. I read about honey badgers. They are crazy brave. Koss turned to Paul. Brave? Or just stupid? There is a difference. Dr. Fisher clapped her hands loudly. Enough, this session is over. Everyone return to your sides. We will try again tomorrow when everyone can be more respectful. The Talrian walked out slowly, still making their laughing sounds. Dren paused at the door and looked back at Amy. Tomorrow we will show you real strength. We will demonstrate Talrian abilities. Then you can see the difference between your species and ours. After they left, Amy sat back down. Her hands were shaking. Bruno jumped into her lap and licked her chin. His way of saying everything was okay. Paul came over. Are honey badgers really that tough? Amy nodded. They fight animals 10 times their size. They have thick skin that is hard to bite through. And they never back down from a fight ever. Another girl named Ruth asked, Do you think the Talrian will keep being mean? Amy looked at the door where the aliens had left. Yes, I think they will. They think we are weak and they want to prove it. Dr. Fisher sighed. I will report this to the colony leaders. This cultural exchange is not working the way we hoped. That evening, Amy's father tried to make her feel better. The Talrian are a warrior culture. They respect strength and honor. They do not understand humans yet. Give it time. But Amy was not sure time would help. The Talrian had already made up their minds. They saw humans as prey, as weak things to be mocked, and tomorrow they would show off their strength to prove it. She held Bruno close that night. They do not know about you, she whispered. They think you are just a cute pet. They have no idea what honey badgers really are. Bruno made a soft chattering sound. Amy smiled. Maybe that was okay. Maybe it was better if the Talrian underestimated them. On Earth, predators who underestimated their prey often learned hard lessons. Maybe the Talrian would learn one too. Amy needed to collect plant samples for her parents. They were studying the blue moss that grew in the forest. Her mother had given her 3 small containers and a list of specific locations. The work would take her into the neutral zone, but she would not go far. Bruno followed her as always, sniffing everything with great interest. The forest was quiet today. The clicking birds were silent. Amy found the first patch of moss her mother wanted. It grew near the base of a purple tree. She knelt down and carefully scraped some into her container. Bruno wandered nearby, digging small holes in the soft ground. He liked to dig, well, the soft human goes out alone. Amy's blood went cold. She stood up slowly and turned around. Dren, Koss, and Lyra stood behind her. They must have followed her from the colony. They were not wearing their learning center clothes. Instead, they wore hunting gear with leather straps and small knives at their belts. Hello? Amy said carefully. She kept her voice steady even though her heart was pounding. I am just collecting samples for my parents. Dren walked closer. You are in the neutral zone, far from your metal buildings, far from your adult humans who tell us to be nice. Koss circled around to her left. Lyra moved to her right. They were surrounding her. Amy's mind raced. Her mother's safety training kicked in. Stay calm, do not run. Running triggers predator instincts. The neutral zone is for everyone, Amy said. Humans and Talrian both, Lyra laughed. Yes, but some belong here more than others. We were born on this world. You are invaders. Amy tried to step backward, but Koss moved to block her path. She clutched her sample container tighter. Where was Bruno? She looked around quickly and saw him about 20 feet away, his back to them, still digging. Dren reached out with his clawed hand and knocked the container from Amy's grip. It flew through the air and hit a tree. The lid popped off and blue moss scattered everywhere. Oops, Dren said, showing his teeth. How clumsy of me. Amy bent down to pick up the container. Koss stepped on it, crushing it under his foot. The plastic cracked and split. You are on our world now, human child. You follow our rules, and our rules say the weak serve the strong. Amy straightened up. We are not here to serve you. We are here to share this planet. Lyra moved closer. Her yellow eyes were cold. Share? You humans share nothing. You take and take. You build your ugly metal buildings on our sacred land. You cut down trees for your farms. You scare away the game we hunt. We asked permission, Amy said. Your leaders agreed. Koss made an angry hissing sound. Our leaders are old and soft. They fear war with other space species. But we are young. We do not fear. We think humans should leave or learn their place. Dren grabbed Amy's bag and dumped it on the ground. Her sample containers rolled everywhere. Her water bottle split open, soaking the moss. Her notebook landed in a puddle. Stop it, Amy said. Her voice was louder now. Anger was replacing fear. You have no right, Dren pushed her. Not hard enough to knock her down, but hard enough to make her stumble backward. No right? We have the right of the strong. What right do you have, soft thing? Amy's mind was working fast. She could not fight them. They were bigger, stronger, and there were 3 of them. She needed to get back to the colony. She started walking toward the fence, trying to go around Lyra. Lyra blocked her path. Where are you going? We are not finished. Koss grabbed Amy's shoulder. His claws dug through her shirt. Not breaking skin, but close. You will stand still when we talk to you. You will show respect. Let go of me, Amy said. She tried to pull away, but his grip was too strong. Dren came very close. His face was inches from hers. She could smell something like cinnamon on his breath. You need to learn, human. You need to learn what happens to prey who wander into the wrong territory. Bruno must have heard the fear in Amy's voice because suddenly he was there. He appeared from nowhere, running full speed toward them. His short legs moved in a blur. His small body crashed into Dren's leg. Dren looked down in surprise. What is this? The tiny pet comes to rescue? Bruno bit Dren's leg. Not hard enough to pierce the scales, but hard enough to get attention. Dren kicked him away. Bruno tumbled through the moss, rolled, and came right back snarling. Koss laughed. It thinks it is dangerous. Should we teach it a lesson too? He reached down to grab Bruno. That was a mistake. Bruno was faster than any of them expected. He latched onto Koss's hand and did not let go. Koss shook his arm, but Bruno held on, his teeth finding the gaps between scales. Get it off, Koss shouted. He tried to pull Bruno away, but the honey badger's thick, loose skin made it impossible to get a grip. Koss's claws could not penetrate Bruno's fur and hide. Lyra tried to help. She grabbed Bruno's back leg. Bruno twisted with impossible flexibility and bit her wrist. She screamed and let go. Talion blood, which was dark blue, dripped on the moss. Amy should have run. This was her chance to escape. But she could not leave Bruno. She shouted his name. Dren pulled out his knife. Enough. This creature dies now. He lunged at Bruno, but the honey badger was already moving. Bruno let go of Koss and dodged the knife with ease. He darted between Dren's legs and bit the back of his ankle. Dren howled and fell to one knee. All 3 Talion were bleeding now. Small wounds, but wounds that hurt and shocked them. This was not supposed to happen. They were the strong ones. They were the predators. How was this small earth animal hurting them? Bruno positioned himself between Amy and the 3 aliens. His fur was standing straight up, making him look twice his size. His eyes were wild and fierce. He made a sound Amy had never heard before, a screaming growl that sounded like pure rage. Koss backed up. What is wrong with this creature? It does not fear us at all. Lyra held her bleeding wrist. It is insane. No animal fights like this. Dren tried to stand, but his ankle gave out. He looked at Bruno with something new in his eyes. Not amusement. Not contempt, fear, retreat, he said to the others. This is not worth it. They backed away slowly. Bruno followed them for a few steps, making sure they kept going. When they turned and ran into the forest, he did not chase them. He just stood there, breathing hard, watching until they disappeared. Then he turned and trotted back to Amy. Just like that, his rage was gone. He was her gentle friend again. He licked her hand and made a soft whining sound. Amy dropped to her knees and hugged him. She was shaking all over. You saved me. You actually made them run away. Bruno licked her face. His mouth still had blue blood on his teeth. Amy noticed he was not even tired. He was ready to fight more if needed. She gathered what was left of her samples and hurried back to the colony. Her mind was racing. The Talion thought humans were weak. They thought Earth creatures were weak. They had learned they were wrong, but Amy knew this was not over. This was only the beginning. Amy burst through the colony gates with Bruno at her side. Her shirt was torn where Koss had grabbed her. Her samples were ruined. Her hands would not stop shaking. She ran straight to her parents' laboratory. Her mother took one look at her and knew something was very wrong. Amy, what happened? The whole story poured out. The three Talrian in the forest, how they surrounded her, how they destroyed her samples and threatened her, how Bruno attacked them and made them run. Her father's face grew dark with anger. Her mother pulled her into a tight hug. Within an hour, the colony alarm was blaring. All humans were called to the central plaza. Amy stood with her parents, holding Bruno close. Colony Governor Ross stood on a platform with his advisors. His face was grim. "We have a situation," he announced. "The Taurian have filed a formal complaint. They claim a human child sent a vicious animal to attack 3 of their young people without provocation." Amy felt sick. They were lying, making themselves the victims. Her father stepped forward. "My daughter was the one attacked. She has a witness. Her wrist communicator recorded everything." Governor Ross nodded. "I know, we have reviewed the footage. But the Taurian do not care about our evidence. Their ambassador is demanding justice. He wants the animal destroyed and your family removed from the colony." Amy's mother gasped. "Destroyed? Bruno was protecting my daughter from assault." "I understand. But we are in a delicate position. We need the Talrians' cooperation to stay on this planet. If we refuse their demands, they may force all of us to leave." Amy felt tears burning her eyes. "It is not fair. Bruno saved me. They were going to hurt me." An older man named Dr. Park stepped forward. He was the colony's expert on Earth animals. "Governor, may I speak?" Governor Ross nodded. Dr. Park turned to address the crowd. "I think the Talrian do not understand what they encountered today. They think Bruno is a pet, a tame animal. They believe he attacked because Amy commanded him to. They do not understand honey badgers." "Explain," the governor said. Dr. Park pulled up images on his tablet and projected them on the big screen. Pictures of honey badgers appeared. Videos of them fighting off lions, leopards, and hyenas. Footage of them raiding beehives despite thousands of stings. Clips of them taking on venomous snakes without fear. "The honey badger is one of Earth's most fearless animals," Dr. Park said. "They have incredibly thick skin that protects them from bites and stings. They have powerful jaws that can crack bones. They have a savage fighting style that overwhelms larger predators. But most importantly, they never back down. Never. It is not in their nature." The crowd watched in amazement as a video showed a honey badger fighting off 6 lions at once. The big cats eventually gave up and walked away. "Bruno did not attack because Amy told him to," Dr. Park continued. "He attacked because he perceived a threat to his companion. This is instinct. Honey badgers are solitary animals in the wild. But when they bond with someone, they protect that bond with everything they have." Governor Ross looked thoughtful. "So you are saying Bruno was acting on natural instinct?" "Exactly. Amy could not have stopped him if she tried. When a honey badger decides to fight, nothing can change its mind." At that moment, a delegation of Talrian entered the plaza. Ambassador Vorn was in front, tall and imposing in his ceremonial robes. Behind him came Dren's father, Commander Toth, and the parents of Kos and Lyra. They looked angry. Behind them, the 3 young Talrians stood with bandages on their wounds. Ambassador Vorn pointed at Bruno. "That creature attacked our children unprovoked. It is a menace and must be eliminated." Governor Ross held up his hand. "Ambassador, we have evidence that tells a different story. Would you like to see it?" The governor played the recording from Amy's wrist communicator on the big screen. Everyone watched in silence as Dren knocked the container from Amy's hands, as Kos crushed it under his foot, as they surrounded her and threatened her. The audio was clear. Every word about humans being weak, about learning their place, about teaching lessons. When it showed Kos grabbing Amy's shoulder with his claws, several humans gasped. When it showed Dren pulling his knife on Bruno, angry muttering spread through the human crowd. The Talrian delegation stood very still. Commander Toth's scales flushed darker with what might have been embarrassment or anger. The 3 young Talrians stared at the ground. Ambassador Vorn's voice was stiff. "Your child provoked them by entering Talrian territory. The neutral zone is open to all," Governor Ross said firmly. "Your own leaders agreed to this, and even if she had crossed into your territory, that does not give anyone the right to assault a child." Dr. Park stepped forward again. "Ambassador, may I ask you something? Have you ever heard of honey badgers before today?" Vorn looked confused by the question. "No, why would we?" "Because understanding this animal might help you understand what happened." Dr. Park showed more videos. He explained Bruno's nature, his instincts, his fearless personality. The Talion watched with growing surprise. Commander Toth spoke up. You are saying this small creature regularly fights animals much larger than itself? Not just fights, Dr. Park said. Wins, or at least survives. Honey badgers have been documented fighting off entire packs of African wild dogs, multiple hyenas, even young elephants. They are pound for pound one of Earth's most formidable animals. Lyra's mother, a Talion healer, studied the videos with professional interest. Its skin appears very thick, and it moves with unusual flexibility. This explains why our children could not grip it properly. The skin is incredibly tough, Dr. Park confirmed. It is designed to resist bites from large predators and stings from thousands of bees. Your children's claws likely barely scratched it. Koss's father, Warrior Mend, looked at his son. You told me it was a small, harmless pet. You said the human girl used some kind of human trick to make it attack. Koss could not meet his father's eyes. We thought it was just a pet. Dren's father, Commander Toth, walked over to Bruno. The honey badger looked up at him with those small, fearless eyes. Bruno did not back away. He did not growl. He just watched, ready for anything. This creature fears nothing, Commander Toth said quietly. I can see it in its stance. It would fight me right now if I threatened the girl, even knowing I am 3 times its size. That is correct, Amy said, her voice small but steady. Bruno does not know how to give up. It is his nature. Ambassador Vorn was silent for a long moment. Finally he spoke. I was told humans were soft. I was told Earth was an easy world that produced weak creatures. Perhaps we were told wrong. Governor Ross seized the opportunity. Earth is not an easy world, Ambassador. It is filled with predators, diseases, natural disasters, and 1,000 different ways to die. Humans survived not by being the strongest, but by being the smartest and most adaptable. And we shared our planet with creatures like Bruno who taught us that size does not equal strength. Commander Toth looked at his son. You dishonored yourself today, Dren. You attacked a young female who was gathering plants. You threatened her. You forced her companion to defend her. This is not the Talion way. Dren's scales flushed with shame. Father, we only wanted to show that Talion are superior. Instead, you showed that you are fools who underestimate your opponents, his father said harshly. A true warrior respects all potential threats, no matter how small they appear. The healer examined the bandages on the 3 young Talion. These wounds will scar. They will carry these marks for life. Good, Commander Toth said. Let them remember what happens when pride clouds judgment. Ambassador Vorn turned to Governor Ross. We withdraw our complaint. The creature acted to defend its companion, as is its nature. Your family may stay. However, I request that this girl and her companion attend our learning center. I want our young people to understand what they faced today. Amy's mother squeezed her shoulder. Is that acceptable to you, Amy? Amy looked at Bruno. He looked back at her with complete trust. Yes, but only if they promise not to bother us again. Commander Toth spoke directly to Amy. You have my word as a Talion commander. No harm will come to you or your companion. My son will publicly apologize, as will the others. Amy nodded. She felt tired suddenly, all the adrenaline draining away. Her father picked up Bruno. The honey badger was already falling asleep. The fight forgotten. As the delegation left, Amy heard Warrior Mend talking to his son Koss. A creature 1/20th your size made you run. This is a lesson you will never forget. Amy smiled despite everything. No, she thought, they would definitely never forget. The formal inquiry took place 3 days later in the largest building in the colony. Humans and Talion filled the room, sitting on opposite sides. Amy sat in the front row with her parents and Bruno. Across the aisle, Dren, Koss, and Lyra sat with their families. The 3 young Talion looked very different now. Their confident swagger was gone. A panel of judges sat at the front. 3 humans and 3 Talion. They would decide what happened next. Governor Ross sat on the human side. Ambassador Vorn sat on the Talion side. A neutral mediator from the United Planets Council connected via video screen. Her name was Mediator Chen, and she looked stern. Mediator Chen spoke first. This inquiry will determine the facts of the incident in the neutral zone. We will hear from all witnesses. We will review all evidence. Then we will decide if any rules were broken and what consequences should follow. Let us begin with the human side. Amy Reed, please tell us what happened. Amy stood up. Her legs felt wobbly, but she kept her voice clear. She told the whole story from the beginning. How she went to collect samples. how the three Talion followed her, how they surrounded her and destroyed her work, how they threatened her and grabbed her, how Bruno defended her. When she finished, Mediator Chen asked, "Did you command your companion to attack?" "No, ma'am. I could not have stopped him even if I wanted to. When Bruno thinks I am in danger, he acts on his own." Next, the Talrian gave their version. Dren stood up and spoke carefully. His father watched him with hard eyes. "We encountered the human in the neutral zone. We were curious about her. We wanted to see what she was doing. There was some conversation. Perhaps we were not as polite as we should have been. Then her animal attacked us without warning." Mediator Chen raised an eyebrow. "Without warning?" The video evidence suggests otherwise. The video played again on multiple screens around the room. Every detail was visible. Every word was audible. When it reached the part where Dren knocked the container from Amy's hands, several Talrian in the audience shifted uncomfortably. When Koss grabbed Amy's shoulder with his claws extended, Talrian parents looked at their own children with concern. The mediator paused the video. "This does not look like curiosity, young Dren. This looks like intimidation and assault." Dren's scales flushed darker. He said nothing. Koss was called to speak next. "We made a mistake," he said quietly. "We underestimated both the human and her companion. We thought because they looked small and weak they were no threat. We were wrong." Lyra stood up without being asked. "I want to speak truthfully," she said. Her voice trembled slightly. "We did not just want to observe the human. We wanted to scare her. We wanted to prove that humans do not belong on our world. We thought we could make her run back to her colony and cry. Instead, her companion made us run. We are ashamed." Her mother, the healer, nodded approvingly at her daughter's honesty. Ambassador Vorn looked less pleased. Dr. Park was called to testify next. He brought his research materials and displayed them for everyone to see. He showed videos of honey badgers in the wild. He explained their biology, their behavior, their legendary fearlessness. "This is not a trained attack animal," Dr. Park said firmly. "This is a wild species that has been socialized to live with humans but retains all its natural instincts." When Bruno perceived a threat to Amy, he did what millions of years of evolution programmed him to do. He attacked to defend. A Talrian scientist named Observer Rick stood up. "May I ask questions?" Mediator Chen nodded. Observer Rix approached the screen showing Bruno's species information. He studied it carefully. "You say this animal regularly confronts predators much larger than itself?" "Yes," Dr. Park confirmed. "African lions, leopards, hyenas, even young rhinoceros. Honey badgers have been observed challenging all of them. And what is its success rate? They usually survive. Sometimes they drive the predator away. Sometimes they just outlast it until the predator gives up. Honey badgers have incredibly high pain tolerance and they never stop fighting." Observer Rix turned to the audience. "This changes our understanding significantly. We assumed Earth was a gentle world that produced gentle creatures. Clearly we were mistaken." A Talrian elder named Keeper Sorn stood up. She was ancient. Her scales faded to pale gray. "May I speak?" she asked in a raspy voice. "Please," Mediator Chen said respectfully. Keeper Sorn walked slowly to the front of the room. She looked at Bruno for a long time. Then she looked at Amy. "When humans first arrived, we thought they were prey species. They have no claws, no scales, no natural weapons. They seemed so fragile. But my grandfather told me stories of other species who seemed weak, but survived terrible worlds. He said the most dangerous opponents are often those who look harmless." She turned to face the Talrian side of the room. "Our young people forgot this wisdom. They judged by appearance only. They thought small meant weak. This creature taught them otherwise. Perhaps it was a lesson they needed to learn." Ambassador Vorn stood up. "Keeper Sorn, with respect, our children were injured. They carry scars now." "Yes," Keeper Sorn said simply. "Scars from their own poor judgment. Better they learn this lesson now against a small animal than later against something that could kill them." Commander Toth stood up. "I agree with the Keeper. My son acted dishonorably. He and his friends ganged up on a single young female who was doing peaceful work. They intimidated her. They destroyed her belongings. They grabbed her with claws extended. If this human's companion had not intervened, what would have happened next?" Dren stood up. "Father, we would not have hurt her seriously. We just wanted to scare her." "Intention does not matter when your claws are out," his father said coldly. "You created a threatening situation." The animal responded appropriately. You are lucky it was such a small creature. If humans kept bears or big cats as companions, you might not be alive to tell this story. Mediator Chen called for order. Based on the evidence presented, I see no wrongdoing on the part of Amy Reed or her companion. The animal acted in defense of its bonded human against a legitimate threat. However, I want to hear from the Talion leadership. Ambassador Vorn, what is your position now? Ambassador Vorn was quiet for a long moment. His yellow eyes moved from Bruno to Amy to the video screen showing the incident. Finally, he spoke. I was angry when I first heard about this incident. I believed our children's story that they were attacked without cause. But the evidence is clear. Our young people created a dangerous situation through their arrogance and prejudice. They paid a price for their foolishness. I withdraw all demands for punishment against the human family or their companion. Relief swept through the human side of the room. Amy's mother squeezed her hand. Her father exhaled deeply. However, Ambassador Vorn continued, this incident reveals a larger problem. Our people and the humans do not understand each other. We make dangerous assumptions. This must change. Governor Ross stood up. I agree completely. We propose enhanced cultural exchange programs with proper supervision and safety protocols. And education, Observer Ricks added. We need to learn about Earth and its species. Clearly, our knowledge is insufficient. We assumed Earth was a soft world, but a planet that produces creatures like this honey badger must be far more dangerous than we imagined. Dr. Park nodded. Earth has more ways to kill you than almost any planet in the known galaxy. We have predators, venomous creatures, extreme weather, deadly diseases, and plants that can poison you with a touch. Humans evolved to survive all of that. We learned to respect everything around us because underestimating anything could mean death. A young Talrian in the audience stood up. Is it true that humans are not even the strongest predator on Earth? Not even close, Dr. Park said. Humans are actually quite weak physically compared to many Earth species. We survive through intelligence, cooperation, and tools, and by learning to coexist with animals like Bruno, who could teach us about fearlessness. Mediator Chen made her final statement. This inquiry finds no wrongdoing on the part of Amy Reed or her companion Bruno. The three young Talrian are found responsible for creating a threatening situation. I recommend they perform community service and attend mandatory cultural education classes. This incident is closed. The room erupted in conversation. Amy felt a huge weight lift from her chest. Bruno was safe. They could stay on Verdania. Commander Toth brought Dren over to Amy. The tall young Talrian stood before her, looking uncomfortable. I apologize for my actions, Dren said formally. I judged you and your companion unfairly. I threatened you without cause. I dishonored myself and my family. I ask your forgiveness, Amy looked up at him. He was still scary looking with his scales and claws and yellow eyes, but she could see shame in his expression now. Real shame, I forgive you, she said, but do not do it again. To me or anyone else. I will not, Dren promised. I have learned something important. Appearance means nothing. It is what is inside that matters. Your companion is smaller than my hand, but he has the heart of a warrior 10 times his size. Kos and Lyra also apologized. They looked at Bruno with new respect and kept a careful distance. As the room cleared, Keeper Sorn approached Amy. The old Talrian smiled, showing many teeth. Your small friend reminds me of ancient Talrian wisdom. The fiercest fighter is not always the biggest or the strongest. Sometimes it is the one who refuses to quit. Amy smiled back. Bruno taught me that too. He is not strong like a lion or fast like a cheetah, but he never gives up. Ever. Keeper Sorn patted Bruno's head gently. He allowed it, which surprised everyone. May I share a thought with you, young human? Earth sounds like a terrible, wonderful place. Perhaps humans are stronger than they appear because they had to be. Soft skin hides hard spirits. Amy had never thought of it that way, but the old Talrian was right. Humans looked weak, but they survived Earth. That was strength of a different kind. As Amy left the building with her parents and Bruno, she felt something had changed. The Talrian were looking at them differently now. Not with contempt, with curiosity, with respect. One small honey badger had shifted the way an entire alien species saw humanity. Amy thought that was pretty amazing. 2 weeks passed after the inquiry. Amy returned to the learning center with Bruno, though she was nervous about it. The room felt different this time. The humans and Talrian were no longer sitting on opposite sides. They mixed together, still awkward but trying. Amy sat at a table near the window. Bruno curled up under her chair, relaxed but watchful. She was reading about Talion history when someone approached. She looked up and was surprised to see Dren. "May I sit here?" he asked. His voice was different from before, less arrogant, more genuine. "Okay," Amy said cautiously. Dren sat down carefully, keeping his movements slow and non-threatening. His right forearm still had visible scars where Bruno's teeth had found the gaps in his scales. He saw Amy looking at them. "I requested they not heal them completely," he said, touching the scars. "Our healers could have removed them entirely, but I asked them to leave marks. I want to remember what I learned." "What did you learn?" Amy asked. Dren thought for a moment. "That I am an idiot. That judging by appearance is foolish. That small does not mean weak. Many lessons, actually." Bruno poked his head out from under the chair and looked at Dren. The Talrian tensed slightly but did not pull away. Bruno sniffed his foot and then retreated back under the chair. "He remembers me," Dren said quietly. "He remembers everyone who threatens me," Amy said. "But he is not angry now. He knows you are not being threatening." Dren nodded slowly. "I have been researching Earth. I spent many hours watching videos and reading documents. Your planet is terrifying," Amy laughed. "It is just home to us." "Just home," Dren repeated. "Humans say that so casually. Do you know what I learned? Earth has spiders that can kill you with one bite. Snakes that inject venom that melts your organs. Tiny frogs whose skin is so poisonous that touching them can stop your heart. Plants that cause pain so intense people have chosen death over enduring it." "Well, yes," Amy admitted. "But you learn to avoid those things. You learn what is dangerous and what is safe." "But that is my point," Dren said, leaning forward with excitement. "Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else. Yet humans not only survived but became the dominant species. Without scales. Without claws. Without venom. How?" Amy had never really thought about it that way. "I guess we used our brains. We made tools and weapons. We worked together in groups. We learned to outsmart things that were bigger and stronger." Dren pointed at Bruno. "And you befriended creatures like him. Other species would have killed such a dangerous animal or run from it. Humans made it family. Why?" Amy reached down and scratched Bruno's head. He made a happy chattering sound. "Because Bruno is not dangerous to us. He is only dangerous to things that threaten us. Humans learned a long time ago that having allies is better than having enemies, even if those allies are fierce and fearless and a little bit crazy." Koss and Lyra approached the table. They hesitated, unsure if they were welcome. Amy gestured for them to sit. They did, keeping careful distance from Bruno. Koss spoke first. "I also have been studying Earth. I watched videos of something called persistence hunting. Humans would chase animals for hours and hours until the animals collapsed from exhaustion." "Is this true?" "Yes," Amy said. "Before we had weapons, we hunted by running. We are not the fastest species, but we can run longer than almost anything else. We would track prey for days sometimes, never letting them rest until they were too tired to run anymore." Lyra looked horrified. "That sounds cruel." "It was survival," Amy said. "Humans are not strong like Talrian. We cannot run down prey in a quick sprint, so we learned to outlast them. We learned patience. We learned that sometimes winning is not about being the strongest or the fastest. It is about refusing to give up." Dren touched his scars again. "Like your companion. He is not strong enough to truly hurt us. Our scales protect us well, but he refused to stop attacking. He was relentless. Even when we were 3 against 1, even when we were so much bigger, he did not care. He just kept coming." "That is the honey badger way," Amy said. "They do not calculate odds. They do not think about whether they can win. They just fight with everything they have and never stop. Millions of years of evolution made them that way." Observer Rix entered the room and came to their table. The old Talrian scientist had become fascinated with Earth biology since the inquiry. He sat down without asking, his eyes bright with curiosity. "I have a question for you, young Amy. I have been studying Earth's predator species. You have creatures called orcas that hunt great white sharks. You have animals called wolverines that fight bears. You have African wild dogs that can bring down prey 10 times their size through teamwork. How did humans compete with all of these?" Amy thought carefully. "We did not compete directly. We outsmarted them. We observed them and learned from them. We saw how wolves hunted in packs, so we learned to work in groups too. We saw how bears used their strength, so we made tools to be stronger. We learned from everything around us. Adaptive learning, Observer Rick said, nodding. Humans are not specialized. You have no particular strength. But you can learn and adapt to any situation. This is a different kind of power. Dr. Fisher, the human teacher, called the class to attention. Today we will discuss survival strategies across different species. Let us start with the Talion. Dren, please explain how your people survived on Verdania. Dren stood up. We evolved strength and speed. Our scales protect us from the claws of predators. Our climbing ability lets us escape into the trees. We hunt the great beast with honor and courage. Excellent, Dr. Fisher said. Now, Amy, please explain how humans survived on Earth. Amy stood up, feeling nervous with everyone watching. Humans survived by being smart and stubborn. We made tools to hunt with. We made fire to stay warm and cook food. We built shelters to hide from predators. We worked together in tribes to protect each other. And we learned from the animals around us. When we saw honey badgers never give up, we learned to never give up too. When we saw wolves hunt in packs, we learned to cooperate. When we saw birds migrate to follow food, we learned to do the same. A young Talrian raised his hand. But you said Earth has animals that can kill you easily. Were you not prey? Sometimes yes, Amy admitted. Humans were prey for tigers, lions, bears, and many other predators. But we learned to fight back. We learned to avoid danger. And most importantly, we learned that just because something can kill you does not mean it will. You can coexist with dangerous things if you are careful and respectful. She reached down and picked up Bruno, holding him so everyone could see. Bruno could hurt me if he wanted to. His teeth are sharp and his claws are strong, but he does not hurt me because we are family. We trust each other. This is the human way. We make friends with the world around us, even the dangerous parts. Bruno licked her chin, making several students laugh. Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened. The Taurian students started asking the human students questions constantly. They wanted to know about Earth's oceans filled with creatures like great white sharks and giant squid. They wanted to hear about hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. They were fascinated by the fact that humans lived on every continent, in every climate, from frozen tundra to burning deserts. One day, Dren brought his father to the learning center. Commander Toth wanted to meet Bruno properly. The large Taurian warrior knelt down and looked at the honey badger with respect. I have watched many videos of your species, Commander Toth said to Bruno, who of course did not understand words but seemed to appreciate the respectful tone. I understand now why you fought my son and his friends. You saw a threat to your pack member. You did what any good warrior would do. You defended her without hesitation or fear. He looked up at Amy. In Taurian culture, we value courage above all things. Your companion has taught us that courage is not about size or strength. It is about heart. It is about refusing to surrender even when the odds are against you. Amy smiled. That is what Earth taught us too. Every creature on our planet had to be brave just to survive another day. Commander Toth stood up and addressed Dren. I have decided. You will spend 1 month learning about Earth and its creatures. You will study how humans survive their terrible, wonderful world. You will write a report on what makes humans strong despite their soft appearance. Perhaps then you will understand what it means to be truly formidable. Dren nodded eagerly. Yes, Father. I have already begun. Did you know that humans can survive in space with only thin suits? They build ships that travel between stars. They explore places where they cannot even breathe. This is remarkable courage. As the weeks turned into months, Amy noticed the colony changing. Taurian and humans began working together on projects. They shared meals. They taught each other games and songs. The suspicion and hostility faded, replaced by curiosity and respect. Bruno became something of a legend among young Taurian. They would come to watch him, always from a safe distance, fascinated by this small creature who had defeated 3 of their kind. Some brave ones even asked to pet him. Amy always made them approach slowly and respectfully. Bruno tolerated it, though he clearly preferred Amy's company. One evening, Amy sat with Dren, Koss, and Lyra at the edge of the forest. They were watching the sunset, which turned the sky purple and orange. Bruno was digging holes nearby, happy in his own world. I have been thinking, Dren said quietly. When we first met humans, we thought you were weak because you did not look like warriors. But now I understand that you are warriors of a different kind. You fight with your minds. You fight with patience. You fight by never giving up, no matter how hard things get. Koss added, your planet made you that way. It tested you every single day. You had to be tough inside even if you were soft outside. Lyra looked at Bruno. And you surrounded yourselves with creatures who could teach you lessons. Like never backing down, like protecting your family no matter what, like being brave even when you were small. Amy felt warmth in her chest. You know what is funny? Humans always thought we were just average. We looked at Earth's lions and bears and thought they were the impressive ones. We never realized that surviving Earth made us special too. Dren smiled, showing all his teeth. It did not look threatening anymore. It looked friendly. The smallest creatures teach the biggest lessons. Your companion taught me that. Earth taught you that. Now you have taught us that. Bruno trotted over and sat down next to Amy, leaning against her leg. He looked at the 4 young aliens around him without fear or hostility. Just acceptance. To Bruno, if Amy trusted them, then they were okay. Amy thought about how much had changed since that first frightening day in the forest. Dren and his friends had gone from bullies to friends. The Talion had gone from seeing humans as prey to seeing them as equals. All because one small honey badger refused to let anyone hurt his friend. Can I tell you something? Amy said. Bruno is not even one of Earth's most dangerous animals. He is just one example. Earth has bears that weigh 1,000 pounds, sharks with mouths full of razor teeth, crocodiles that can snap a body in half, tiny mosquitoes that kill more humans than any predator. If you think Bruno is fierce, you should see the rest of our planet. The 3 Talrians stared at her with wide eyes. Then slowly Dren started laughing. Koss and Lyra joined in. It was not mocking laughter like before. It was amazed laughter, impressed laughter. Humans are insane, Dren said, still laughing. You survived all of that and you act like it is normal. You are the most terrifying species in the galaxy and you do not even know it. Amy laughed too, maybe. Or maybe we just learned that the universe is big and dangerous and wonderful, and the best way to handle it is to be brave, be smart, and make friends with the fierce things instead of fighting them. She looked down at Bruno, who was falling asleep against her leg. His small chest rose and fell peacefully. This little creature had changed everything. He had protected her when she was in danger. But more than that, he had shown the Talrian that strength comes in many forms. That courage is not about size. That the most powerful weapon is often a heart that refuses to quit. The sun finished setting and the stars came out. Amy sat with her new friends, human and alien, together, with Bruno sleeping peacefully beside her. She thought about Earth, dangerous and beautiful, and all the lessons it had taught humanity. They were lessons worth sharing with the galaxy. Somewhere in the forest, a nightbird called out. Bruno's ear twitched in his sleep, but he did not wake. He did not need to. There was no threat here, just friends sitting together under alien stars, learning that the universe was better when different species tried to understand each other instead of fighting, and that was the biggest lesson of all.